I would start. Yeah, that's it. Concession sales. Hey, Melissa, Mike. Steve, I never got that email. I don't know, maybe mine was just too hard.
I'll tell you what.
I don't think I'm in. I thought it was upgraded to Hotmail by 25, maybe not.
You said that. That sales. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, call the meeting to order. All of the aldermen are present, city clerk and city attorney are present as well. If I could, I get a Craig Strickland to lead us in a prayer and the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're grateful that you trusted us again to come together as leaders of this city. We ask for your guidance in our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our deeds, and we ask for your forgiveness where that we fail you. Lead us home safely and to our families. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I would like to make a motion to amend it. Under general business, if I could just add Ward 1 drainage at the bottom of that.
Make that like item 27.5.
Yes, please.
You just want to discuss it, or which one's there with it?
Well, it's a discussion that would branch into some other things, but
Okay.
there's a lot on here.
Is there a second to?
Want me to do it?
27.
Yeah, 27.5.
Add it.
My apologies. So we got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Thank you, Jeff.
You approve these? All right, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All righty, public comment, who's on the list? You're the only one on the list? Anytime we let you talk during comments, I want you to do what you're fixing to do. Bring us a big check.
Well, I'm here tonight on behalf of PSA. They couldn't be here tonight, so I told them I would. Here to present a check, the quarterly check for $20,810.63. So we had between baseball, softball, boys and girls, from T-ball to 15 years old, we had 46 teams. So they did very well.
Awesome. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
On the agenda, we also have, I don't know if you want to go through it first, the girls cheerleading, they're asking to use the civic center.
Yeah, we actually have that
And
on
waive
here.
fees.
What is the date on that? I know it's in here. in July, so July 8th or something like that.
I don't have a date written down.
Why does Mark block it off already? They just want to be able to use it.
Somewhere that they can go and do cheer tryouts.
Okay.
The baseball field will be being used at the time and the school is too at the time.
Awesome. I guess you can also give us an update. You have already spoken to John Weeks about a splash pad.
He is in the works of that, getting back with the, all the details on that, so waiting on him on that.
What is it, you want to talk about that?
Well, I don't have any details.
Oh.
I wanted to come back.
Well,
I wanted to come back before I start.
We've begun to begin. So
Good,
there we go.
Mayor.
All right, good job, Josh. Appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, while you're up here, Josh, can you tell us an update on the parking lots over there? Are they done?
They are not done at the moment, but I talked to him today. He said by the latest of the end of next week, they'll be done with everything.
Okay.
To include, that open area out there where all the dirt work is, they're going to level it out and resod it. That I did not know about, but I was glad to hear that, because I was trying to get prices on how much sod we would need to fix that. So they told me today they're actually taking care of that.
For the upper parking lot with the two sports, is there any news on that?
Me and the mayor was talking yesterday about that. Hopefully, we can get that done. If not, maybe trying to add that in the budget next year, or seeing how much it would cost while they got the equipment there to get it done while it's there.
Mayor, that's a good point, because
One of the worst spots.
the pop on that period performance was for 1 June.
Yep.
So they're already in $350 per day penalties. So maybe we can work out some sort of, you gotta do your negotiation.
Do this for that.
Yeah, negotiation, but again,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be done 1 June, and it's impairing our citizens parking.
Yeah.
So, I just look, maybe
And it
update
could
next
be,
time.
and it could be much, you wouldn't think. I mean, it's a small area.
I'll let you hear. I mean, per contract, they owe us, the city, the citizens, $350 per day.
Yeah.
Every day that they blow a deadline, they have, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if they can hot patch or do something to the worst areas, highly appreciated. We've been holding off to kind of see how that area, if that area could get fit in, because we know we were looking at it, but we are obviously restrained by money. So, yeah, whatever they say with that.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it. Good deal. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
All right, proclamations and resolution. Is there a motion on number 7 to request to adopt a resolution amending the FY 2021-2022 budget?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Discussion. Is there any chance that we can move some money into our drainage budget with the street department right now? I would really appreciate board support on this, but there was only ever 15,000 in there. And that's not enough for any project, as far as drainage is concerned, for the entire city. And that's been my number one priority from the start. And when we originally did the budget, I wrote down some reasons why we kept it that low, but those reasons don't seem to be fairly accurate. And so I'd like to get some money in that line item moving forward. And when I get to my section talking about drainage, some projects I'll talk about, it might make a little more sense at that point. But right now we have, from my understanding, less than 15,000 for ditch maintenance and repair for the entire city right now. And that team seems grossly inadequate.
And Mike did approach me, that there's because, we've been working on several little baby projects on there about the concrete max. And, he doesn't have the funds for that, to do that this cycle. So, I believe that's where some ditch work for, Ward 5, the concrete mass would have to come from, because, I think you guys were successful last year when we tried those 3, and they're like $1,000 a piece, yeah, but they're permanent fixes, not, and so
They're actually redoing a whole full set, and
the one slope there, because we need to do the rest of that ditch. Is he here? Hopefully,
I
he's smart.
I know he is somewhere.
And we did have a conversation with him, and he said that he was planning on, requesting this on the next budget cycle. What I would like to see is that on this budget cycle, because there are some projects that I would like to start pushing forth with extra vigor.
Where did that money go?
Absorbed in the,
Just to let everybody know, we paid off some debt earlier, and my first estimation was that we were going to save $8,000 in interest over the 3-year period, and free up $110,000 in the next budget. Well, as it turns out, it's actually freeing up 110 in this budget. We allowed Mike to get a piece of equipment that we had not budgeted, which was around $53,000. So we were moving some other money for some unexpected expenses that we had for instance, the roof over at the senior center. And I'm in the wrong line of work, by the way, if y'all seen what roofs cost. Alan?
Right.
And that, I mean, a little house is like 20-something $1,000. So obviously that's bigger than that. So it was, you know, yeah, right at $30,000. So that's where some of the money is going. I would assume that we would, I mean, if we did this, if we moved any money contrary to what's already in here, we'd have to go back to Doug and forego doing this tonight. So I would almost assume this would be a starting point for the next budget cycle. Would probably be a better place for it, but obviously we work a little
We'll
more.
have to up the beginning cash and bank. We're gonna up anything else, we're gonna have to up everything.
And we probably will have one more budget amendment.
Probably in August or so.
So in August, when we're doing that next budget amendment, can we make sure that the drainage line has,
Now, the stuff you're probably the stuff you're fixing to talk about here in about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so is gonna be a whole lot more than we're gonna probably have available to do anything.
I'd like Doug.
Now, I know we eat elephants one bite at a time, but I don't see us having a $400,000 drainage budget next year. You know,
I was actually thinking around 50,000.
Okay, but I mean, we could probably dig that out somewhere, dig it out.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Doug first before we get any more.
But I do think that's where that's like going. If it's a number of that nature, yeah, I don't see how that would be a.
Okay,
problem.
I'm comfortable revisiting that in August. Thank you.
Already got a motion, got a second, all in favor? Bids and quotes number 8, request to accept the bid in the amount of $255,110 from Greenbrier Digging Services for McSwain water improvements per Shaw's Dearman and Wake's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Discussion.
Okay, great.
This is kind of discussion for 8 and 9, and I don't know how much we can actually do about it, but for 8, we had estimated 150, and it's 250. For 9, we had estimated about 500, and now it's a little bit over $1 million. What's that, is this completely just signs of the times?
Yeah, some of it is. We still have the money there, and we're still expecting our other half of our ARPA money at 1.3 million. We're still waiting for the state to shoot a drop on that, so we're not really sure where we're gonna, what slot and where we're gonna pencil whip all this at when it's all said and done. But the money is there for these particular projects. And that's why I assumed we probably won't talk sewer again until maybe next month, once we kind of start knowing what the lay of the land is. And to see what the final deadlines are. The original deadline on ARPA was gonna be in 2026. So obviously, the state has kind of delayed us in a lot of this stuff, so you would hope that there would be some extensions on that. I see about 20.
Committed by 24.
But it seems like you got a lot of time, but you really don't. I mean, we actually have to have the project lined up, fairly quick.
Well, for Dawson's, I know that there's no conversation we had there, we gotta get that done. For McSwain, since the cost of everything is going up so much, is McSwain high on our list of priorities, or could we use that 250 to make something else if our ARPA money's not gonna go as far as we want it to?
Still would be a priority for that, with 11 houses coming online over there and replacing out an old, I want to say galvanized pipe, Mike.
So
Galvanized pipe on William Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is my word, and I know that when we voted to put this out, I was the only neighbor on this. This is just not a priority for my ward, especially at this price point. I would much rather see that money be put into fixing the drainage issue in our ward, and so would the people who live there. If I could, to talk to the engineer about this and why this area and why the benefits, and the answers I got didn't really make me think that this was a worthwhile investment for this money at this current time. It's unnecessary now. It may be necessary at some point in the future, and so this is really about infrastructure for the future. And I understand that is wise at times, but these houses are getting water, and that seems more pressing than adding to fire hydrants for fire safety. And this isn't the only place where fire hydrants would be needed in our town. This is definitely about future development. And also, we voted recently, we have a priority list. This is not on our priority list. And I've been very, very vocal about this not being, as Alderman.
McSwain's not on our priority list?
No, sir. I would have voted no on it otherwise.
You did vote no on it.
Well, for the priority.
Oh, the
list,
priority
no,
list?
I voted yes because I thought that you had realigned yourself for me. So I would strongly support or suggest that this be voted no on.
This is just to let you guys know, you actually can't wait in these kind of situations. If you wait, by the time those 11 houses get on board and people start calling, complaining about their water pressure, which would still meet state requirements for 20 PSI. So we're still good. If I go from 35 to 22, Tony Ducker's phone's gonna be ringing. So that's really the issue here. So we're really trying to be proactive, which is something it's a new concept for us. So we do have the money for it. There will be other things done as well. So, and obviously you would love to do something, even on both of these, do it less expensive, but obviously going forward, we're gonna probably get less work for the amount of.
I don't think cost of any of this is gonna be going down
Yeah, I know.
anytime soon.
So that was really the reason for that. We got a motion, got a second.
I got
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
First of all, I agree with Gerald's line thought is, it's actually not 250, you gotta add the engineering fees, it's another 75,000 on top of that. The really out the door cost is it's 325 out of our ARPA money. And it isn't on our priority list that we all voted on. I can understand, you know, I don't want you to get calls in the middle of the afternoon about water pressure, but the city engineer, when we voted to build these 11 houses, opined and presented in writing, so did Alan, that the water pressure was acceptable, it was good. Now, you can put a bigger line for more fire hydrants. We do that, we need to do that everywhere, in the city, especially in Craig's ward.
A lot of money for 2
So, you know, when we say calls from 11 new houses, I think that's a little bit, that's a factor, but I think when we look at what we can do with this money for the generational impact for the projects that we did vote on, and I think the first one was Castle Woods, based on the priority list that you presented here. So, I mean, yes, nothing's gonna get cheaper. We see that with the prices. This is kind of a rude shock for all the city, see the new, you know, the new numbers, but it's not really 250, it's 325 out of our ARPA money. So, I mean, I don't want to couch it like, hey, we don't want to get phone calls.
And the benefits of this $325,000 is 2 fire hydrants.
And less calls.
Got a motion, got a second, all in favor? Okay. I mean, I guess raise of hands. 3, 4. All opposed?
And then,
Okay. Number 9, request to accept bid in the amount of $1,045,000, what's the big number? $32 from CB Developers for Dawson Cutoff Sewer Replacement for Showers, Dearman, and Waits. Motion. Is there a second?
second discussion. Now, just for clarification, the good thing, this money is coming not from the ARPA money. If I say, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor.
As we sit here today, yeah.
Well, what we're voting on today.
Yeah. I mean, there may be a situation where we say it's more advantageous to move it.
Yeah, we're from, but right now it's coming from our water budget, which we have a surplus in that general fund right now for projects. So that's actually not touching the $2.6 million. And then when you look at the engineering fees on top of this, it's actually another 180 on top of that. So that's all we're moving about 1.3 million from that budget. So we kind of cover that. So, you know, the pots of money are important. Identify where we're coming from. We said from day one, we actually had a budget line in this in our budget. We have 0, unfortunately, we didn't know how much it was going to cost, but we knew we had to do this for the city, even though it's the bottom of the budget deal. So we appreciate the hard work, and that's gonna make a difference for the city.
Yeah, I'm glad to get this done, but I think we kind of know, and I've talked about this earlier, the pace at which some of this stuff happens. We start talking about this initially in January.
Yeah.
And it's June, and we still haven't gotten a shovel in the ground yet. So this will be a one step closer to that taking place.
Mayor, you were talking about this last August when
Yeah.
we did the budget, and you said this needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's even
Been
further
a while
than that.
now. Yeah, it's just not gonna go, I mean, it's a one-time shot at getting some of this stuff done. At the same time, it's not gonna go near as far as any of us want it to. So I know obviously there'll be disagreements as we go through the process, but I know at the end of this, we'll be in a better position than we were. Because there's a bucket full of issues we can do. We can almost pull anything out of the bucket and make things better. But anyway, got a motion, got a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Number 10, request to accept quote in the amount of $44,612 from CB Developers for Chapel Hill Road pipe replacement for Dallas Human and Waste. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you just update me on I'm not familiar with that.
That's something Steve's been working on for quite some time. I actually should put his name by it. And it's up in Jay's area as well. And I did it at the same time. I got John to do some numbers. I got John to do some work when he was doing the stuff over on Cola Street. I said, well, do that too, because I know Alderman Stringer had been working on this a long time. We believe it is an instance where we'll actually get some bang for our buck and do some improvement over there. The recommendation was actually, we think there's some other things we need to do, but we know we need to do those first things first. And I said, let's look at that. And then the other stuff, we know this is going to change everything in that area. So let's see what we got to do afterwards. I know it's going to probably be less expensive, but it'll be culverts under some stuff, under some driveways. David Moore slipped over there on, right up from you or down from you.
Sunset.
So he's got some good washout there as well. So he does think he's, and when you go over there, a lot of times when it's raining really hard, obviously Ward 4 has some issues. And we'll talk about that. Maybe, I know Amy's here. Amy's like, what? But talking about Bird. We're going to talk about Bird in a little bit. Anyway, I know when we go around, we see the creek is full at Matthews Branch. And everything backs up to Bird, it's full all the way there, so you say, well, the water has nowhere to go. That's a section over there where some of the stuff's backed up, but it's really because of undersized culverts. And if we can get it through there, the actual creek right through there is actually lower. So we're actually shooting it at something that we actually have a chance to improve in that area. So that was one of the reasons I had done it.
Is that going into Greens Creek?
Yeah, that is Greens Creek right there, isn't it, Mike?
Where?
On Chapel, the little bridge right there. Isn't that the start of it?
It is. It's definitely.
I'm sorry. I should ask. Should ask you, Caleb. But anyway, hopefully that'll make that a little bit better. And it's gonna cure all their ails. And obviously we all know that there are certain types of rains that this area just doesn't handle real well, period, the whole downtown area. But I think this is something we can get done. The money is there for it. I think that's a big thing as well.
I think it's important to point out the difference between 325,000, over $1 million, and then how cheap these stormwater fixes are. $44,000 compared to these other things. That is an important thing to note, that these projects are just exponentially cheaper, and the impact is huge.
I think that's seriously the complication of this too as well. Look here, water, sewer, drainage, all in one road. And look, I know most of the folks out there are saying, man, y'all just spent about $1.8 million. But it is what it is. So anyway, hopefully we can get some stuff done. And I know I appreciate Alderman Stringer's work on this as well.
Where's the money for this coming from?
So we have 235,000 out of my budget that we got over there or something. I don't know why this number sticks in my head. But yeah, the cash is there for it.
Mike, do you know what line item this is coming out of for your budget?
Not really sure. You talking about 44 here?
Yes.
This also keeps us on pace to make sure we get a full pop on our internet money as well too. So we need to start sprinkling in, like you said, there might be some drainage issues where we can sprinkle in some 20s and 30s here. That'll keep Mike on pace. Usually you're holding money on Mike, we tell you not to spend it, but now with the internet sales tax money, our public works side has to spend X amount of dollars, and they talk about the internet sales tax money. So we want that to be a plus for us. Anyway, got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Righty, old business, number 11, request to adopt ordinance regulating mobile food vendors. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I didn't think, Drew, you'd looked over and done some work on this.
Yeah, it's not a perfect document, no bureaucracy is, but I think it gets us, pretty close to the target here. I mean, you all will provide the information. If you have any specific questions, I'll answer, but I think it gets us, closer. I think the main takeaway is that it gives basically a one-shot shot for a mobile vendor to come in, set up shop and sell once, but the second time you're here, you better come get a permit. Because what was happening and the way we changed it a little bit from Hattiesburg lets you come in 15 times in the city and not pay sales tax to the city. So we said, one time you're a guest, we're the friendly city, but on time two, you're going to pay your tax that you collect. It's not going to go back home with you to wherever you go. Because sales tax follows you back to your LLC home of record. So we want to have people come over, try it out, say, hey, it's a great deal, and then see, we'll come back, we'll get a permit, and we'll support you and love you at all these events. So I think it's trying to be flexible. Like I said, we define an area. Again, we might look at where the area is. We basically limit it to no food trucks. The intent is not to have food trucks on the Gandy or the service roads right next to the Gandy. We want it in residential areas, or especially in areas off the Gandy, like down here in Main Street, down here, that's not on the main thoroughway. And that gives flexibility to, so that's how babies got started. They started in a parking lot over next to church. There's a couple of places like that. We want to support those, but we also want to protect those. I say support those businesses that actually invested in brick and mortar too. So that's a happy medium.
That was my concern.
Yeah, there's opportunity. Let's say there's a special event that they want to do. They can come to the board, and we have an option to do a special event to provide or special permit to allow them to do that, and also for when Buckshots comes and does the thing on Pedal High School, they say, well, that's taking on the Gandy. Well, we've already participated that. We automatically allow that for nonprofit or for churches and for schools to have a permit to do on that throughway, because there's a lot of churches on the Highway 42. So, we're trying to be flexible, and I think the mayor, with your support on doing that, I think we've got not a perfect solution, but it gets us what we can get.
We had nothing going into this, so obviously we didn't want to be heavy-handed. At the same time, we love our brick and mortar guys and want to pay proper respect to them, understanding that food trucks are a thing now. So obviously we don't want to stifle
protecting
competition,
the
but
brick and mortar, because I've had a lot of them talk to me about that. I think that'd be satisfactory.
And you'll see another following item where we make the ordinance, because the ordinance goes into the book as an ordinance. And so, there's very specific how you do that in the state and to legalize it. And then we're designating the area where we're going to allow that in a normal meeting type agenda item. So let's say 6 months from now, something changes. And we want to allow someplace else or not allow someplace. That allows us to do it within, based on the board and the mayor's decision, and say, we're going to tweak the area a little bit and not have to go through the entire process of rewriting the ordinance. So we make it, the ordinance allows us to set the regulatory adjustment for this designated area. So it's a two-step process, but I think based on what you said in the past, we're trying to make it easy for businesses and also support the citizens.
awesome, good job. Got a motion, got a second, all in favor? All righty, Gary, you are up. We want to revisit property violations at 311 Mitchell Street.
Great. Still have not received any information from an electrician concerning repairs or safety.
Anybody here for that property? Gary, now, we're talking about one house? What are we talking about here?
The one house that's occupied, the other house has already been disconnected some years ago. This particular house is currently occupied by several individuals. And we've done everything we can to try to get the electrician to, nobody's come forward to sign a statement saying that it's safe.
Okay. Man, what we got going on? Yeah, come on up.
I'll get an electrician there far because I'm retired.
Yeah. Oh, you good. You should be right there. I think the microphone's closer somewhere up in there. Oh, yeah, right there.
I can check it out far and I can get one of my electricians that worked for me because I built many houses.
Are you guys are still living there?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, okay.
I live on Charles Street.
Oh, okay.
And I'll get Adams, Mr. Adams, or I'll get one of the electricians that's worked for me over the years building houses, because I've worked all over the United States. And I'm retired in the pedal, and I love pedal. And I've known her, I was married to her 15 years ago. We went different worlds. I'll get it fixed up for her. There's no problem there. I didn't know she was into this.
Let me ask you, Kerry, is there any other issues or is it all electrical? What else is going on?
At this time, our concern, imminent concern, pressing needs of electrical repairs and signed off. It's an older building, all old buildings need work, but if they just make it safe electrically, we would be
So I get
satisfied.
that up to code. I got electrical work for 50 years.
How long would it take you to get that and get him something?
I could rewire the whole freaking house in one day. So, I hadn't looked at it, I don't know what our problem is, but I can get it solved.
Well, the wires are in the electrical grade pipe. Now they want the electrician to check it out. Looks to me like if it had, was dangerous to it, it would have done brought my house down by now.
Oh, so some of it's already been done, right?
It's already been
Oh, so you
done.
just need somebody to come and
It's
check
already
it.
been done.
Okay.
That's not, correct. There was some work that was done near the box. The pictures that we originally saw there, I've never seen any pictures showing that they've been repaired or anything.
Well,
So,
Well, yeah,
is
it's
that
all
problem?
been
I
repaired.
haven't seen
The pictures that I've seen, there's a wall that's going in and there's, Romex under, structural pressure, exposed to sunlight. There's an
Okay,
exterior hot
all
water.
that should be in.
No, it's all in, electrical grade pipe now.
May I say something? There was some repairs made to that area, but not by the electrician. It lacks the proper support, and the conduit that it's in is a mismatch grades and sizing.
Mr. Chair, can you help me recall, is this the third or fourth time that this year that
If
we?
you don't see, you might not be able to see, third or fourth, yes, I think. I'm not really sure, it's been quite some time.
So this is the third or fourth time that we've asked you to get an electrician to look at this.
But
Look,
I
I'm a web woman. I can't do everything. But I have worked and worked and worked for these places, and I'm not planning on sitting here and let y'all take it all away from me after all the money that I've spent.
Man,
Meaning you're not-
I'll get it.
man, that's obviously not the goal, but obviously
I mean, I know that pipeline coming through there, and y'all get it all free. I mean, I know that. That's the way City of Pelham works.
if,
But I'm not gonna just sit here and let y'all take it.
no, we're not
Hey,
attempting, we're not attempting
Hey,
to take anything. Obviously, we don't want you to have a dangerous situation, because if we do that, we wouldn't.
Well, it's been done about 2 or 3 weeks, so I mean, I can be done, burn the house down.
It's been done, we just need to, if we can get an electrician to come in, if you'll, sir, get somebody to
I've
come
been
in. and look at it.
harassed ever since my husband died.
But let me ask this,
I believe the right thing to do here is going to be pull the meter. And when we
I don't
see-
think it's the right thing to do.
When we
That
for
would be
see
the
that
next-
it's safe,
next
we will
step.
turn it back on. And the only way we're gonna know. it's
You can
safe
tell
is
somebody's
if we have
living
a
in one house and not the
licensed
other.
electrician Tell us it's safe.
you can tell somebody's living in one of the houses but not the other.
I'll get Mr. Adams to come over and fix the man. I didn't know nothing about this.
I just told him about it today.
She just told me about it. I haven't got nothing against her. I'm successful. I don't need no freaking money. That's one thing. I got 15, 20 boats, 9 trucks I don't use, and everything I don't use. And I think I can afford to fix a freaking little house. I could build a house in a week. I used to build houses better than that in a week. Have people move in, so I think I can fix a freaking little bit of problem with wiring part.
Are you a licensed electrician that can give us a statement that?
Mr. Adams will take care of that. Adams Electric.
Cheryl, it's your ward, but
I'm gonna make a motion to pull the meter.
Now, there's no sense in that, because nobody can live there and pull the meter. My kids have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to go,
I understand.
and you don't care.
I do care.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I don't deal with
You know what, there's a God up there that is watching to see
Ma'am,
what
let's,
you do.
let's discuss, that's good. Y'all
There's
don't
no sense in pulling my meter.
you don't have to see, we'll discuss it amongst ourselves. We haven't done anything yet. y'all go ahead and sit down.
Well, see, I don't know nothing about it, and, I got a big farm, I have got no bill yet, sir, money's no issue for me.
By the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Now, the plane I'm gonna have is on Charles Street, because in front of my house is washing out, and somebody's gonna get killed there. And when they get killed there, then y'all gonna come out and be crying about it. My neighbor has done come down here, Mr. James Baxter, and done told y'all that that street is undermined. I seen a car almost flip over there the other
I
night.
don't wanna get our apples and oranges mixed up, but Mike, isn't that, didn't we figure out that that's not our city property? So we don't have the right to go over there on Charles Street?
We're
Mr.
part of
Baxter.
Charles.
105 Charles
One oh
Street,
five Charles Street, we don't have an easement through there, do
Believe that, yeah, correct.
we? Yeah,
you don't have an easement on the street?
on the street we do, but on the area that he's always told us he wanted, what did he wanted cut or cleaned or ditched out?
No,
or-
the street is undermined. My
No.
front, that water is going up on the street, it's got the back water line going on the
Mike.
street, busted 4 times.
Write that down and check it out for us, Mark, if you would.
Where do you live at, sir?
105 Charles Street,
Yeah.
right behind Grand Bank. I just bought that little house. I also own a 3-story house out there in Perry
I've
County
actually
too.
back, but anyway, if y'all have a seat, we'll get this figured out.
Discussion. I guess, all right.
We got
She just said I'm living in that.
We've got a motion, and then we need a second to discuss. Go ahead.
I understand, and I understand that we've been fighting about this for a while, and honestly, we have tried to be helpful. We rallied some volunteers to go out there and help out, and we try to organize this. I get the frustration, but man, I would say table this motion and give them to the next meeting, and
Didn't we do that last meeting?
and then say that
And
this
the one
this
before
would be
that?
it.
And so we're just now
Oh, we
thinking
are.
about getting it done?
But they're saying that something's been done, now then we're going to have an electrician to actually go check it out.
And we do have, we have somebody who
Look at it.
Like this would result in a family being kicked out of the home with nowhere to go. I understand the fear. They have operated like this for a while, therefore I don't think it's gonna burn down. And if it does, we'll deal with that whenever it happens. But I would say give them to the next meeting, and then we can truly say we've done everything that we can. Because it seems now like Ms. Linda has an option for this.
So I feel like we've done this exact thing.
Maybe so,
I feel like we've already gone through this cycle twice.
maybe so.
So this is our 3rd or 4th time doing the exact same thing.
but we do have somebody willing to help her now.
Yeah.
That's the case.
We're trying to
I
be,
have- I
Don't
have
you
to
have
help
a
now.
hearing?
I would say you don't have to table it, we can just vote on it outright, but my humble opinion, I guess, is that we table that and give it to the next one, and draw the hard line
My
there.
prediction would be we're going to repeat this cycle yet again. And she just told us children are living in that house, and it's not safe.
So let's vote.
Got a motion, got a,
Further discussion on that, I mean, when I talk about, I understand the super urgency. Like I said, we don't know what's gonna happen based on electricity or sign or lightning strikes or whatever. But I am a little more confident with someone stepping forward. I prefer not to wait the whole full 2 weeks. There's nothing says we can't do a special meeting to go ahead and make a decision for a meter in 7 days. You know, we don't have to wait the full 14 days. So sir, I mean, we're talking about the timeline it would take you to make it safe and do what you're talking about. I mean, you have 7 days, because otherwise we can do a special meeting, have 4 of us and make that motion full and actually forward.
I could change my motion to be, unless, we have proper documentation from a licensed electrician.
and if I get it before then, I'll let you do that to everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
So we can do that.
let's give, I know we, second and
And
third term, but we've given a lot of people many chances in this city. So I think, and this guy, we can, I fully understand where you're coming from safety, because that is a hard call, and you know what, we might be making the wrong call right now, we don't know that. But I'd rather go with chances that he's gonna do the right thing more, and not wait till 7 days from now, but maybe tomorrow, because it is just Tuesday. And a couple of days, if you can do it safe, then I think everyone comes out, you know, moving forward.
So Alderman Steele, just to clarify, if you amend this, you're gonna amend it where they're gonna present proof that this has been certified as acceptable by an electrician
It needs
by
to
the
pass,
close of business next
electrical
Tuesday,
inspection by a licensed electrician.
by the close of business next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
And if not, then we can do a special.
And then if not, if you don't have that, then the meter gets pulled, so there won't be, we won't have to have a special meter to pull the meter.
Sir, are you hearing that?
Yeah, one mil problem between Allen Harkey, Clyde Garner, come over, 1, 2, 3, and get that, well, get the job.
And most of them were good.
I got a question. What are we signing off on? What are we gonna sign off on notebook paper, or y'all got a paper we sign off on, or what?
They should, they should have something to present to, Amy and, Carrie, they would be able to relay that information to me, and then I can get it out to the board.
Oh, okay.
And it'd be on the.
I'm actually suggesting that the electrician talks to Carrie,
Building inspector, our building inspector.
our building inspector. So your electrician needs to talk to him.
You know Clyde Garner?
I do know Mr. Garner.
Okay, if I can't get Mr. Adams to do it, I'll get Clyde, and I'll get somebody to get it fixed for him.
Either way-
They work for me, built houses before,
They gotta have it done by next
and
year.
they know me, so it's no big deal. I didn't know that she was in this kind of mess. I've traveled all over the world, and I don't get stuck in this city that much, and I just come in here and settle in the fiddle. And I love this little town, and I think we need an industrial park in this little town.
I agree with you.
People getting a job. I try to get catfish in. Forest County, never an issue. We got plenty on the ground.
No meeting, y'all were just, we, City Hall.
Your electrician needs to get with Carrie and make sure everything gets matched up, so the paperwork gets here by next Tuesday. That's it.
So that's gonna be.
Is that the motion?
Basically, that if they have to provide us documentation, that we will.
Is that the motion?
State the motion.
So I'm making a motion that on the 15th, the meter be pulled, unless the building licensed electrician who has inspected and certified that it is safe.
You good with that, Carrie?
Yes, sir.
By the close of business on the 4th.
By the close of business on
Yeah,
the
I don't ever get that meeting,
14th.
it just happens. Let's make sure that they don't have heard from me. I'll show them on Tuesday. Yeah.
They trying to make a.
Got a motion, there is a second from, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, did y'all get all of that?
Oh, yeah.
Basically, yeah, just get the electrician to start sound off on it, let Carrie know.
By the 14th, where the power will be turned off automatically on the 15th.
Well, she's free, Thursday, and I am too, and I'll be out there and get it fixed for her. And I'll get
Any
electrician. I didn't know
questions,
she
just
did that
get
kind of
whichever, Mr. Garner or Mr. Adams chooses, get them with Carrie, and let's make this happen. But anyway, thank y'all.
thing. I want to get it where it's safe for her.
And honestly, that's the board's concern, obviously, we don't want to, you know.
Sir, it's not just that house, it's the house next door, and if that house is so old that it's tender, it burns, there's children in the house next door too. All those houses are old, and when they go up, they're gonna go up quick, so it's gotta be safe. You know what it looks.
Oh, yeah.
All righty, number 13, request to approve the docket claim for the month of May.
Move.
The second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 14, a request to set a regulatory designated area for mobile food vendors. Is there a motion?
That's it, that we're defining the area now.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Request to refund a cash bond to Bailey Bonding Company in the amount of $1,500.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We probably want to handle this in executive session.
Just let that to you, yes, sir.
Okay, let's
Yes,
do
sir.
that, since we've got to go in anyway.
Yes, sir.
All righty, we'll take that up later. Number 17, request to accept service agreement with Allen Engineering for services related to grant research and proposals. Is there a motion? Move. Is there a second?
Session. First of all, this is a long time coming, because, we put a lot on your plate there, Mayor. So to give you a little bit of, a team. Now, and what you call Jay's our team.
Yeah, I know.
One's a team, I guess, the two of you guys. But again, this is this is Allen Engineering. It's not, unfortunately, it's not our Allen Flint. But Jay, I know you feel free to tap in if you need to, but this is a long time coming, so I appreciate the mayor that
And
you're.
this works as we do, and I appreciate Jay working with us on this. It kind of has a little more formal agreement to it. I know there's other departments that have asked us, and we say, well, we'll call Jay, but we don't really have anything formal set up in it. Obviously, he'll take our phone calls, but at the same time, we'd like to have a little more of a something, and it gives the city some protections too, because it's something a little more set from a fee structure as well. But anyway, I appreciate what you've done already for us and look for greater things going forward. Got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty, number 18, request to purchase an ad in the Pedal Area Chamber of Commerce Community Map. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? I'm gonna ask Councilman.
Yeah. What line item?
I feel like we should put it, on the flap, whatever the inside flap, it was like 1,500.
Well, that was not part of our budget amendment, we just did.
I'll probably have it in printing and binding.
You get it, but
We can find 1,500.
Okay.
And unless y'all don't wanna be in the map.
Oh, no, I mean,
it's-
yeah,
All the
map, I kinda feel
department
like
heads, all the
it's-
department heads sink down whenever this discussion is going
Yeah,
on.
we're looking for $1,500 more dollars.
Yeah, Mike, you got anything?
Stop place.
Maybe
I got a few dollars here and there.
Josh is in.
Josh, you got it.
Couple gallons of gas for mine.
Yeah.
One thing.
I guess the motion would be $1,500 ad.
Yeah.
And I think we do these, Valerie's not here, the last time we did was.
Yeah.
You bank the buck.
Do you mind?
Yeah, so it sticks around a long time, so we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 19, request to accept rental agreement with Owens Business Machine for Canon Image Runner in the building department. Is there a second?
Hey, just discussion on this. I just did the one for our church not too long ago, but we have three copiers on contract in the city,
Probably.
and they're all individual contracts. It might make sense, and maybe you're a bit business, and we consolidate this and actually bid it out. I know since they're all under 5,000, they all go right to 5,000. Funny that, isn't it? How that
Well,
works.
they have the same contract.
Still funny that. But maybe when we consolidate and, we do a mass, and we get into, because the problem is they're all separate times, they're the agreements, so
Yeah.
I don't want to spend $20,000 to break a contract. I just ask you to look to
And I'll
consolidate these
I'll
on
make that
one
request
big
to,
contract.
what Martin, for us to do, next time the next one comes up, see if we can negotiate all of them and just see. My toaster drop dead, but thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
First time.
Well, it's have
We
maintenance.
get people to tell us that from time to time.
It won't fill up at once.
Yeah, that's right. That's only rodeo. Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 20, request to send the following vehicles in the water department auction.
Motion.
2 2010 Silverados. Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Number 21, request to deny a special exception for 256 Holland and require the removal of one uninhabited RV within 30 days and allow the occupied RV to be removed by September 30th, 2022, with all utilities to be disconnected at that time per the planning commission's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second for discussion? Go ahead.
So to clarify for all this is a motion to deny, however, we're going to allow, the residing family members to stay there, for at least until September 30th or until they get their arrangement set up to move out. For some of the residents that were here, there's a little bit of other discussion as well. There's talk of a covenant. I wanted to be known, the city cannot enforce a covenant that has to be enforced by the HOA. After speaking with our lawyer and our building director, we can't do anything about the covenant, so that's not our issue to be concerned with. And there's also talk about one of the RVs, once the family has moved, one of the RV that is being relocated will come back. Somebody had asked me about that. That's fine. We allow one RV to reside as a residence. One of our pieces of ordinance, section 8, 179, is what talks about this, and somebody had read this and saying that RVs can only be parked there for 72 hours. But the second half of this says that does not apply to a single unoccupied mobile trailer owned by a permanent resident who uses that trailer to periodically go outside the city or do anything like that. And that lines up with this. So just for the residents who are concerned here, once the family moves to another area, that RV can come back under our ordinance.
Just to clarify, you're saying that our ordinance says that we can park it there And definitely if you own it and you live there.
Now, you
But
can live in
occupied,
You just can't live in it.
You can't live in it, and I don't think, we actually don't allow more than one, it seems like. It does not apply to a single unoccupied camper, so.
Yeah, I'm
Oddly enough, we cannot allow 2 or 3, but 1 is fine.
Is there anybody from the neighborhood y'all?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, we're good with exactly that proposal.
Anybody else?
My question was, if I own a piece of property in Petaluma and have a house on it, can I have 2 RVs and 2 boats in my yard? Unoccupied?
The way the ordinance reads, I interpret, you may have both boats, but only one RV.
I read the ordinance before I came here, and it said nothing about how many RVs you could have in your yard. I read the part where you can't live in it, that I understand. But if I have 2 RVs, and I'm paying my property taxes, and I own a house here in Petaluma, and I have a nice big lot, why can't I have a second RV and 2 boats? One might be a
Big boat, little boat.
small boat, and the other one would be a large one, and one might be a drivable RV, the other one would be a towable.
Be nice.
Hang on, read the ordinance.
So specifically, it does not say RV, but what it does talk about is everything surrounding that. So you might be able to successfully find a loophole here, since RV is not included. But what it speaks on is house trailers, mobile homes, trailers used for a living. So this is where it probably belongs to. Trailers used for living, sleeping, or eating purposes, shall be prohibited. Any street goes on.
Right.
The part that I was talking about right there, a little bit below halfway down says, all the previous statements that prohibit those things shall not apply to a single unoccupied camper, trailer, or motor home or trailer owned by and stored or located on the premises of or leased to a person permanently and regularly residing in a residential structure on said premise, who uses said mobile home, trailer, camper, or mobile or motor home periodically or seasonally for travel purposes away from the city. So the key part that frames all of that is that beginning phrase. It does not apply to a single. And so therefore it could apply to a double, or 2 RVs or campers or living trailers.
I mean, I haven't read the ordinance, but, it sounds like he has interpreted it correctly.
In other words, you can only have one?
Yeah, but you could have
Yes,
4 or 5
correct.
boats or whatever, right? It's all good.
And honestly, with most of our code-generated inspections, we go usually on a complaint basis. And I think everything but thrust even of the spirit of what we've always tried to do is that someone's living in it. And guess what? So people have done it for years and we.
Well, I understand living.
Yeah, we always, and I think that was the gist of what we're trying to do. Now you may be, I'm gonna be thinking about boats the rest of the meeting, but anyway, good deal. We got a motion, got a second, all in favor of. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Number 22, request to appoint Jerry Rivers to the Planning Commission for a term to expire in 2026. This is a replacement for one of my folks that we had just got off of there, but is there a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye. Thanks for coming.
Request to accept proposal from Allen Engineer for FY 22 and FY 23 stormwater implementation at a cost of $6,500 for FY 22 and $13,500 for FY 23. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, Chris.
Amy, talk to me about the 2021 hunt contract that we spent doing the MS4 coverage for the city.
Hatchmont, Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
They were just a firm, we've been using them, I think, for like 10 years prior. And they would come around and do our samples and put together our report for MS4.
Okay, have they done it for 2022 already?
No, we don't do that one until the end of,
This is a weird deal too, because when we ended up joining with them doing that, and Jay, you guys did it in the past, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We actually had ended that contract this time of year, so it really should be something that would have lined up a little bit more, and this would get us back on speed for that. Plus, it would give Amy some capacity in her budget, even though it's a few $1,000s, because we ended up doing some map updates. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay, which costs some money that we're, so it gives us a little more flexibility on that, and I wanted to kind of line it up for when the reports were actually due as well, and shop local.
Well, I agree, that's a great call. I'm more concerned about what we got from our last $11,000 contract and what we're gonna get from our new contract. And just be frank, I mean, I don't see, the sampling, but the 6 components for the MS4. I mean, Hightail, where's that work? Where's our training? Because there's supposed to be training provided to leadership. So what I'm saying is, this is part of the bureaucracy of the Clean Water Act that filters down to the permit through this, NDEQ. So
Several years, we had the COVID issue, so there's been no approval for our MS4 permit. Like, they just, if you don't send it, they send you a letter saying, why haven't you sent it? But when you do send it, they never acknowledge it.
Yeah, well, that's typical, I mean, from my understanding, from MS4. So what I'm asking for, I know the price is going up, so I'm expecting better performance and better from our homegrown product. But like I said, you're going through the contract, you'll be our contract officer going over this. I mean, there's a lot of specific steps that I really want to make sure we execute, because like I said, this is about our safety and water safety for our waterways. And that, we survive by Leaf River. Leaf River is one of our biggest assets right here. But again, this is that typical bureaucracy of requirements, but we can do so much if we actually do the work and get the product. And unfortunately, pandemic aside, we've been paying for it.
Yeah.
We haven't been getting the results. So I'm glad to see that Gage's gonna step up and actually lead us from this, so I appreciate that. So I would say big shoes to fill, but I don't think so. You're gonna be making bigger shoes for us. So thanks.
There's actually some other stuff you saw part of that contract that we'll have Jay in position to do, to update some stuff going forward as well down the road.
But that's not part of the agreement, because like I said, that's only pending, when the new general permit comes down from the water.
And I've got to call into DEQ, to get a little more accurate timeline on when that's gonna happen. Hopefully I'll know something that I can pass along by the end of the week.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding won't be till 2024 before we get our new general permit from the city.
The last discussion I had with the permit division at DEQ, they were thinking the second half of this year. But I'm not optimistic that they're gonna make that mark.
But we'll be prepared. So at least we got a game plan. So thank you.
Awesome. Got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, welcome aboard,
Thank you.
Number 24, request to send one Husqvarna riding mower asset 2235 from the police department to auction. Motion?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Request to send one 2008 Ford Crown Vic and one 2004 F-150 from the police department to auction.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, that ain't the cream puff, is it?
The one with the broken radio?
No, we can't get rid of cream puff.
Man, I would've
We'll forever have
I
cream.
would've got choked up if you.
Yeah, that's right. We'll put it out in the field. We won't
All
have
right,
center draw.
number 26, request to adjust garbage fees and late fees billed to 21 Maple Road. Is there a motion?
My motion.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion, if you could just kind of.
Yeah, I actually, bottom line is, this is an account owned by Erica Lott, and she's actually here with her mother, and I'd ask her to speak here in a second, but just to set the groundwork, she's been working on her account. She was one of the accounts that, Mayor, that you've identified as part of the cleanup of roles, which has helped us, clean up the roles and get people back on track and with our payment plans. But she was in arrears for quite a bit, and almost $2,400 for sewer, water, and garbage. She's through a lot of work on her own. She's now closed that gap to almost about $600, or actually, about $600. She has about $1,500 that she got. She's paid off as initial big payment for the sewer, water, and trash. And then and she's on a payment plan now. But as we were going through Angel Dive, all the fees and documentation, we discovered that basically in January 2021, from that date, the city picked up her trash can. And so, but we continue to charge her late fees for her trash and charge her for her trash. And so, and we found, and then we gave her a can back when she made her first payment and got back on a payment plan. But what this is asking for a little grace, and I'm not sure if we can do it legally, and that's one of the claims questions.
And
But-
that was actually going to be my next question.
But let me just finish the sentence that, she's made this pathway and game plan to get to this point, and she's on, and then as we're looking at, well, doesn't seem, the fair question, doesn't seem fair to charge somebody for a trash can that we picked up and you couldn't use. So my first question to her was like, well, did you put trash in a bag and then someone picked it up outside, or, did you put debris on the side? And she told me no.
So there were no services rendered?
No. So that's really what we're asking for the grace of the board. So you know what, she's moving out, moving forward. And I asked her to speak briefly, but, on that part, but I think she's coming to the table. She's one of the, which was what we always wanted, when people get back on track. And she's on a payment plan to pay off whatever we don't, because there's gonna be some of that $2,400 will still be outstanding. If we go ahead, and what we're asking for is $39.34 in late fees, and a total of $262 in actual fees for those 14 months that the city took her trash can and still told her to pay for the trash can. So a total about $301. So that's what she's asking for.
As much as I do want to support this, I don't think by law we can forget that. And then secondly,
This is
what's gonna happen, I've got one guy right now, he's staying on me right now because he don't have a garbage can either. And that's his thing, with the other $75,000 in people. And then she had wiping them down in, Augustus. The mayor don't pay 1 cent back. 7 of us have to pay. If he come out, and that's what I'm saying, I'd love to do this, because I don't like it either. But that's my thing is, by law, if we get off this, he can, y'all can give $75,000 here. Because we got people that once we start this, it's gonna be every meeting we're gonna have, so that's my concern is that by law, if we can do this.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, but if the service was charged erroneously.
It doesn't matter, we charge people right now, even though if they're not on our sewer, they still have to pay.
We're not talking about sewer.
It doesn't matter.
Sewer water, I think sewer water.
We're talking about service that's not being given.
So
And that's my take. My take is it was justly put on their bill, and I understand it, and I appreciate what Alderman Stringer, and he's gonna punch me for saying this. I mean, I know in the past, he's pulled out tons of money to help out people in the past, and that's a secret that's never gotten out. Probably in the thousands of dollars that he's paid out to help people out here and there. And I'm not saying we all start breaking our wallet out. You're like, we don't get paid much anyway. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's taking it to that extent, and he's fought to do things like this. So I don't ever mind the question. Right now, we've got around $175,000 in hardships right now. But if everybody that's on a hardship right now came in and paid us, it'd be around $175,000. Just not. So anyway, on the if we did this, now this doesn't answer the legal side of it, because I think that's one of the questions you're asking, is it legal to do it? Obviously, if it's not, let's don't do it. On our side, the logistics side of it, if we were to do this, every can we picked up, we're going to have to cut a bunch of thousands and thousands of dollars of checks back to them, because we're going to have a ton of people coming in saying, well, we didn't have our can either. And I mean, it'd be the right thing to do, and then we would end up stopping the trash can pickup. And it's been one of the more effective things that we've done. But I do appreciate the how they've handled this, and the work you've done on trying to get them connected with the RVO and all that stuff. Because where they were at, to get down to I think they owe $938. I think it is they owe now. To get down to that number.
Well, let me just,
strong.
Erica, would you like to say any words? Well, I'm not your best advocate, because I'm not the best speaker for you, but you know.
Don't worry, he puts us on the spot all the time too.
I guess understand why, like I said, the services weren't rendered, and I didn't have a trash can. I mean, there's record that I didn't have a trash can. So I'm just not understanding why I would have to pay for a service I didn't get.
On our side, and that's what I think the board's trying to ascertain, is even if we can do it at all. If it's a legally placed bill on there, and you can understand why. Because all of a sudden, if I think there's a big supporter of me, Kevin, I'm gonna cut you a deal, but you voted against me, we're gonna not cut you a deal. That's the legal constraints the board is under. So the argument would be, is it legal for us to even take it out? My thing would be, at that period of time, we actually had people that were getting their can picked up, going to Lowe's and getting a can, and then at that time, Wasteboro was still picking them up until we finally cut that out, not terribly long ago. And everything, so technically the service was rendered, and in the argument could also be made, it was offered, it was available.
Yeah, well, we picked the can up and we transitioned to blue top. So I can understand when there's, prior to the pickups and prior when we were doing multi, but you did a good job on cleaning up that, when Waste Road.
It's been.
We pulled a lot of people in.
Right.
But when we picked up the cans, we transitioned to blue tops cans and said, hey, the throwers didn't pick up anything unless it was green can. Or pressing a blue top can.
Do you remember any idea when that was? That was this year?
It was this year. It was
I don't
last
think
year.
that far. I just didn't think it was like January or September, or I think it was like this summer, or this spring. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
But man, like I said, I don't know the legality. That's the first, you're right. That's what I'm asking for. And, it's kind of, I've asked for in the last, going through this, I've asked for something, what's our policy? And I don't want to just say, well, this is what we've always done. And I agree, we don't want to make favoritisms. But to me, this is a picture. This is where our job is to represent our constituents. And when they're trying to do the right thing, and they say a good question like, wait a minute, if I'm not, I understand sewer, because, that's our process in water. But, trash is a contractual thing. It's not the service of a city, it's a contractual thing. So there's a flip in where it's the terms of this, it's not a city provided service, it's actually a contracted service. So it's just on the same bill. So
We did pay for it, though. I will say that the ratepayers paid Wasteboro for them to get the service.
But you're right. She paid for service that she never got. And so that's kind of, and that's a good, but it's one of those dilemmas. I don't know the right answer besides.
I think we need to get an attorney general's opinion and let them.
But I don't, you're right. I don't want to open the floodgates. Maybe that's a great point. That's
Definitely will.
Well, on that note, let's say that this decision was made, and the next person that comes in that willfully and knowingly didn't pay for service, and then comes in and says, okay, I want mine too. Are we gonna be as sympathetic towards them?
I think every case is unique. You look at evaluate.
We're legal. I mean, if we did this, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I think the number was 38,000. I mean, we take a lot of cans of, we got one person that just concentrates on that. And then going forward, we would stop taking up cans as well, because, so then we could kind of slip back into that area where folks are not paying us, because, when they're not paying us the trash, they're not paying sewer, as well.
Well, we could pick up a can, just don't charge them for the can. We could split it.
But I'm just telling you, administratively, wouldn't it? It's just adding an extra layer of red tape and paperwork.
Or it's the right thing to do.
Technically, it'd be the right thing to do for the people that have sewer running out there. They bought the house, they didn't realize it, they're still in a septic tank, and they don't think they should have to pay us. We got thousands.
I got one of those.
We got hundreds. We got 100,000 of that.
He makes
75,000, I think.
And this is a case of one of those that's actually coming forward to do our thing.
They would make the, and I did get that, and I appreciate that part of it, and I'll do, and that's whatever the will of the board is, as Alderman Stringer so pointed out. I have no fiduciary responsibility in this, so, anyway.
Got really happy when you said.
My take it was.
One of us will abstain and you'll have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's gotta go to the restroom.
He still won't get.
I can give you my opinion on it, right now, or you can table this request and we could do, a formal request to the attorney, the attorney general, and I could consult with these two aldermen, before that request goes out, to make sure that the question that goes to the AG's office is, fair.
You know what they're gonna ask you. What do you think now?
Yeah, I do have an opinion as to right now, but, we'd rather table it and feel safer about it.
Shad White is not taking, he's taking names right now.
Well, sure, but we're gonna be asking the AG anyway, which is a little different, but,
So I'll make a motion
And
to,
nothing changes and nothing technically would change with your situation. You'd continue to pay the same amount while it found out, so.
so you won't be in charge of any extra while we're sitting here trying to figure it out. It's just gonna be kind of held over here in a stasis.
We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We know what, our minds are telling us what the right thing is. But we want to make sure we're doing it the way it's supposed to be done. That's not gonna, if somebody else comes in here and says, we've got an answer for them right away.
we don't want to violate the law.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask the Attorney General's opinion, and then we're gonna see exactly what it is that we can do for you. So, hang in there tight, and, we're gonna revisit this, okay?
Okay, and as far as, the mayor mentioning, like, if I had another trash can, like I went to the store and bought one. There's notes saying that, I guess, whoever the city person came by and there was no trash can. So there are notes in my account that there was not a trash can, and months later.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I don't think he was referencing you on that. He was talking about with other instances.
Yeah, that's the other instance you need to correct.
But you are saying that you do have documentation, that you have no can, and that, okay.
We've got it on our side, but understand, it's technically two questions. Can we legally do it? And are we fixing to open the can that's gonna let everybody we picked up cans and slip back into where we're not collecting in an area that we have trouble collecting in anyway?
I would recommend, get your paperwork that shows.
We actually have
Yeah, that's, I'm sorry. And that might be policy wise, what we count on moving forward.
I mean, to be part of the.
To avoid.
I don't know if they, he's gonna talk about precedent. Yeah, I'm really just asking.
Forward would be the other question.
Yeah, they can give you their
I mean,
opinion.
basically we do something similar with water. When you forgive a water bill, you're making the finding they didn't get used to that water that they were billed for. This sounds very similar, and it's somewhat different. And I think that it's definitely different than the people who could have hooked up sewer and didn't. And they know that bill's been going on forever. So I think it's a different matter. But because this is so close to the line, there is no reason to rush. We're not
It's not
charging
gonna
her
cost her
interest,
anything.
not gonna cost her anything.
And
And let me tell you,
you're already
man,
paying the extra anyway.
that's right. And so you just keep doing what you're doing. Now, when I write this letter, and this letter will probably go out in the next week or so, man, we got us a new attorney general in the state of Mississippi, and my impression is she's really slow. It'll be a long time, so we're not gonna know something by the next meeting. But you just keep doing what you're doing. We're not gonna be charging you extra. We're not adding no penalties. We're not adding no interest. That sum is gonna stay there until the attorney general tells us about it. So you're gonna be in a good position right now as long as we're waiting.
Well, already I'm paying the $65 for it, plus I'm paying extra, which is.
To pay it down, never mind. So she's
It's
doing the right
okay.
thing. She's doing everything.
Yeah,
We're just trying to look at that.
But when you get down to that zero balance, and you don't have to pay any extra, and all that's left is these few months that we're talking about,
14 months.
yeah, then you just start paying your regular bill until you hear from us. You'll hear from us, and Drew will call you.
We'll have to work our hardship with that. That's our hardship agreement. It's $20.
Yeah.
Well, we're-
It'll be
Bottom line is,
credit
yeah,
on her
yeah,
account
She wouldn't
anyway.
get to the.
She paid,
this
she
amount
chooses
for
to
a
pay it
while.
all
Unless it
before
really
we found
slows
out,
down.
it would be a credit on her account.
We're not voting tonight, but just understand.
So we're gonna table this, and so we're tabling this request based on us doing our homework at our level. So hey, you just, Erica, Ms. Lott, you keep on doing, you know, keep on being on track, doing the right thing like you're doing. So, and we'll do our homework.
She doesn't pay, you remove it, then you get back to the same vote.
That's what keeps her.
The hardships will get rid of your penalties and all that kind of stuff. But understand, we're trying to answer two questions. Can we even do it to begin with? And
If it's good cause.
are we gonna be talking about a year from now going up on everybody's rates because we just cut $50,000 in checks back refund to an area we have trouble collecting anyway. But anyway, I'll be interested to see what you do, and I appreciate your input, Brian. But anyway, we got the motion, got a second to table it. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you again soon.
I'll keep, Eric, I'll keep you updated.
It'll be a while.
I'll keep you updated.
Won't be real soon.
All righty, number 27, request for a PSA to use the Civic Center for cheerleader camp at no charge. Is there a motion? There's a
Second.
motion and second, all in favor?
And then I added my role.
27.5, as Ronnie said.
So, I, would like to bring up I'm a little nervous actually, so I'm just gonna go ahead and,
Throw it out there, man.
make a motion to get it torn asunder. I'd like to make a motion to authorize Joe's Dearman and Waits engineering firm to develop an RFP for a ditch to be reconstructed parallel to the railroad track from Central Avenue, running under the Evangelic Parkway to connect with Greens Creek and the addition of one culvert under West First Avenue. I believe everyone here knows that this is the railroad ditch I've been pushing for. I would like to get FRB so that we can see how much this is going to cost.
You don't want to say nothing else? You don't want to say nothing else? I'm just messing with you.
That's
messing with you.
Well, I have another one I'm gonna make in just a second.
We got another one.
So this is just asking, John's company to look at the situation and prepare it for bid. We're not putting it out for bid, we're not, agreeing to anything other than let's get the engineer to look at the situation and write up an
I will
application.
say this, John didn't, I've talked to John about this in the past, he hadn't fallen out of his seat. He does think it's gonna be a deep six-figure, well, say it shouldn't say deep, a six-figure operation to get it done. There's only a few people that can do it. But anyway, I actually expressed, other than when I found out what the cost was gonna be, I did express a desire, because it seems like it'd be just so simple. But Mike and them have tried to do as much as they can do, and y'all gotten tractors stuck, y'all gotten dump trucks turned over.
As far as they've ever went was to the, Edmund Gandy. And that's by one of the guys that's been working there for a while. They've only ever dug it out to the Gandy. They've not went all the way to the creek. So,
And just a little side note, and this is something I did talk to John about, I do have some other government entities, 3 other government entities that are expressing interest in helping us with this project. And so I'm hoping by the time the city has to get involved, the price tag will be around $53,000.
So what would the cost of getting?
John pencil whipping this thing, I don't think it'd be bad.
$5,000. Typical, like phase one, engineering steps.
And maybe it could be broken into
I
smaller.
don't have a problem with him just looking at it, see if it's not gonna be, you don't think it's gonna be,
I don't think it'd be crazy.
so as long as it's engineered cost, and I don't think, John's always kind of fair with us.
And I think John, he knows that the, in 1983, the Corps of Engineers basically recommended doing this exact same thing and already wrote a whole engineering report on it. And the only thing he's really gonna have to check for is, due to, rapid development of the area, is that adequate or will it need to be resized? So it's only one culvert. It's one culvert and then a ditch. And so it's pretty easy on the engineering side. He didn't seem, and like this would be anything that would take much time at all to finish and get done.
All right.
Discussion? Oh, I second it for discussion.
Okay.
So 3 questions. What pot does the money come out of for the engineering fees?
That'll come out of the street.
Okay.
Street.
So the $225,000 one that we were looking to spend earlier? Is that right? That's the sum?
Sure.
Okay. But that's, I just want to make sure, I don't want to approve something we have no money for.
Yeah, we got the money for it.
Yeah.
For just this phase of it, obviously, there'll be a
And
different amount.
and that would provide us basically an RFP or basically engineer scope that allows us to basically, send out the bid if it's doable, or at least have that where we can send it to your other agencies. So this is a
It
total
won't cost,
cost.
it won't cost us nothing to, I'm sorry, it won't cost us nothing to send out the bid, like bid on it.
Yeah,
If it comes back,
but it'll be
it's
off,
$5 million.
Mayor, it could be off the shelf things that when we look at opportunities or other grants, say, hey, this is the cost of this thing. We could, break glass, send it to wherever, MDOT or wherever we want to send it to, but if we do this and tell Mike to develop a plan for us, then we have a city-approved engineer plan that we could.
Exactly.
And when talking to county officials and the railroad and NDOT, having an actual document to point at and say, this is the part I need you to help me with, would be really, really helpful. I've been on the phone a lot these last couple of weeks. It's summertime and I'm a teacher, I have time. And they all ask to look at what I have. And I say, oh yeah, so I should probably have something. This project will never get done without this first step.
Okay. And just follow-up question, as I'm discussing this, this would be a part of your steel plan?
Yes.
But also, Mayor, this would be part of your, when we had that process and the veto that you said we were going to try to figure out.
Yeah.
It was all about the cost.
I think we knew from the get-go, if we ever were able to do this, we would have to, form it out.
Yeah. So
We didn't have the.
we're kind of just moving forward and what the mayor's wanted us to do.
And I like that, kind kind of like what MDOT does. They've got a room full of plans.
Yeah.
So if they
That'll
ever
give
get
us some
some
money.
it's just waiting for
Yeah,
money.
and Tony, you said something, 2 months back, it's, we've gotta have some cards to play.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to play them,
If
but
got
we
a
need to.
plan, yeah, then it's a plan looking for money. And then, it may find it 6 months from now, may find it a year from now. So, yeah, I don't see the harm in this. Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Okay, and.
No, I have a second part, and this is the one where y'all are proud of me.
Hey, what are you doing?
White time is here. White time is
Ready to
here.
go home. Playing a movie.
Wake up. Her AirPod broke up in Netflix.
This 27 point what, 75?
Two. So I would like to make a motion, and here's another one. Authorizing shows Dearman and Wake's engineering firm to develop an RFP for linear grading, cleaning, and the creation of ditches located on both sides of East Second Avenue, Cola Street, Rosewood Drive, and East First Avenue. This is an area that's experienced a lot of flooding. The ditches aren't there. I know that our city officials are having a hard time. There's a lot going on with sewage. There's a lot going on with water pipes.
Are you just wanting ditches down East Second?
I'm trying to get them cleaned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ditches on East Second?
East First, he's talking about as well. East First don't really have any ditches.
And that's exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I know it's hard to get this verbal on.
Yeah.
Great.
And actually, John. There's like 3 houses that don't have one.
And some of these ditches are ditches that need a little scooping. Some of these need to be created, but they need work and they need it bad. And I know that,
You're saying all the way down, East Second?
Both sides.
both sides.
Yeah, the easement. Correct. We had easement.
The East Second. I'm stuck on East Second. Now, what else do you want?
Both sides of East Second. Cola, Rosewood, and East First.
And this is just to grade, clean, and create ditches on both sides next to the roads. And honestly, I don't know what the cost of this would look like, but that's something I need to know. And this is not a full subdivision, but it's about 2 blocks. On these, yes, we have these.
Yeah, right off, you're talking about right off the road.
Right off the road.
Yeah.
And this is
That's to the city.
this would allow us to segment it and possibly put it out to bid and get some of this work in to assist the street department to get caught up on what we're really far behind on, and that's drainage and ditch cleaning.
One thing that I know of just on the list on COLA, this would be the east side of COLA, one particular property, I do know. And I don't know the reason that it was done, but for 100 years, there was a very steep, deep ditch there. And at some point, it was culverted and filled in. So
Yeah,
the reasoning for that, I don't want to go dig up something that we necessarily already put in.
And that's something, I did talk to John about the area of the streets and what this looks like on the pictures and stuff. And there are some areas that will have to be avoided, especially around the school. There's some closed culverts there that shouldn't be messed with or damaged. And there's several areas that John even said, like, this should just be left alone. I was like, well, that's what we're throwing to you. We want you to look at this, tell us what it looks like so that a third party can come in and actually fix these problems for us.
I guess that you go in with our, why you doing the other. So we get you to do both
I'll
of them.
show John this piece of paper tomorrow.
Just do both of them like there and
Yeah,
then,
and this is-
one bill on it.
This is all about, yes, thank you. This is about having cards in place.
You know, the upper part of East Second, I mean, I don't think there's a flow problem there. And
Well, it turns into a center after
And
all.
it gets kind of, I mean, it's rolling pretty strong coming down there.
Well,
But I would like to
the
see it
issue
come
on,
off the bale.
Second there, at the point of Cola and then to the, you're looking at the map to the, east side of Cola on West Second there. I actually had a good conversation today about how that needs to be deeper so that that water will make it to the main house. And I've talked to, Mike, he's, hoping to get to that main way out right there in the next couple, maybe within a month. That's a big maybe, I know he's got on his plate. But all these things do work together. I don't know if we're gonna see it before, I'm back in school, but these are the pieces that need to be in place in order to make it happen.
I think that's doable on this, let them do that.
Get John's opinion on it. Is there a motion and second?
Just to clarify, we're not adding 50K to the Dutch line, we're just sending these out.
Yeah, these are gonna be
Do some,
Yeah, that-
do some initial stuff.
I'm sorry, top part,
They have to do that in
Okay,
August.
okay.
I had asked for the extra 50K to go in the budget.
That'd be 10 grand. Okay, all right, is there a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 28, seminars and travel. Request for Michelle Fontaine to attend human trafficking investigative course in Gulfport. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 29, request Will Lewis to attend HSART training.
Motion. Hey, that's a good talk, Matthew, I like that.
Training.
Zero talk.
Mississippi.
Chief Henry
Thank
shows
you,
me up
Chief.
a lot.
We got a motion.
Oh, that's why, that's all Chief Henry.
Yeah, he'll be thanking him.
The whole chief.
Yeah.
Got a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 30, request for Drew Craft to attend fire officer training on June 30th, or 20th through the 30th. The cost of $735. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Yo, I don't like you so much now.
There we go.
That's a little higher.
No,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
He's finna get better, Steve. You're feeling really getting mad.
Mm.
Request for TJ Burkhalter to attend fire service management training at the State Fire Academy in August. Total cost $475. Is there a motion? Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Request for Austin Boland to attend fire officer training at the State Fire Academy in later this month, $735. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Request for the following to attend hazmat AO online training on June 6th at the Mississippi State Fire Academy. Is there a
Is there
second?
any cost to that, Chief?
There will be on the test. This is done mainly on,
Okay.
now they charge, I think it's gonna be $60 per.
Okay, just a test, the problem, when they get ready to take the test. Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, orders and ordinances, request to adopt order hiring Stephen Carr as third-class firefighter at $12 and 12.1083 per hour, pending drug screen physical.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Chief, will that get you up to full? You still short, how many short?
They do it by like their salary or something,
Another-
still, because they work weird hours.
Yearly
So you
salary.
you got at least one more?
Round it up, or down.
Do we have any prospect?
Yeah, got one more.
All righty, I
Okay.
need to see a motion to see if there's a closed room, see if there's a need for.
Motion.
Yeah, I mean.
All in favor?
Do it now?
All righty, guys, let's have a executive session.
Personnel.
You didn't read the marriage report.
Oh, you're the
All
mayor.
right, go ahead and do that. Get ready, we've got the Star Spangled Celebration, get ready for that. That's gonna be on July 1st from, I think, 6 to 10, something like that. So, make sure everybody comes out. Josh is doing a lot of work for that. So, anyway, that's about all we got going on. We go to a conference later this month, myself and the alderman and a few personnel, so we look forward to that as well.
Hey, Miss Lane. You went to, you said home in our meeting.
Yeah, you have to wait. They're gonna start out with They said, "Do you want some help?"
I got it.
I'm coming to help you. You said you done something.
He knows what I get, why I didn't have my best.
Yeah, that, yeah. Now the whole town knows.